Some things in this world just don't add up, and that is the case for these 5 mysteries we're looking at in this video. So from a brilliant engineering student who left cryptic messages after his apparent suicide, to a case that could rewrite history, here we look at 5 strange mysteries that are still unsolved. Before we begin, we wanted to let you all know that we have uploaded a new Murderous Minds episode to Patreon. The episode is on the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, and is over 1 hour long. Due to YouTube's constant changes, we've decided to start uploading all of our Murderous Minds documentaries to Patreon. We've kept it easy with just one $2 per month tier. This gives you access to early content and our Murderous Minds series, where we also include the transcript for many of you researchers to download. If you enjoy the Murderous Minds series and many of our other documentaries that touch on topics that are not deemed ad-friendly, then please consider becoming a patron. But as a side note, we do not want to let a paywall stop people from enjoying our videos. We know a lot of our viewers may not be in a position to pay monthly, so if you are in that position, then drop us an email at info@top5s.co.uk and we'll give you access to the videos for free. Thank you to all the current Patreons who are allowing us to keep up the Murderous Minds series and all other controversial and touchy subjects that we love to cover. A huge thank you to all the patrons who are also helping us on our way to reaching our first goal. Once we've hit the goal on Patreon, we'll be able to start our Wars of the World channel, featuring videos on everything from World War I and II, from Vietnam and American Indian Wars, and everything in between. And we'll be doing a new style of content that we've never done before, unboxing, reviewing and researching military artifacts, mainly ration packs and old survival kits. So even if any of that interests you, and you have no interest in our Murderous Minds series, then please consider supporting on Patreon to allow us to make this happen. But again, if you are not in a position to do so, just send us an email to info@top5s.co.uk and we'll give you access to all of it for free. Now let's get into the video. On the morning of the 18th of January 2019, the body of a young man was found at the foot of a 50-metre high crane on a construction site in the Port-Mail district of Paris. The body was later identified as 18-year-old Alessio Vinci, and initial suspicions were his death was a tragic suicide. But as the police delved deeper into his background, there were a lot of unanswered questions that revealed a chain of events that are still unexplained to this day. Alessio was from Italy and was enrolled in his first year of aerospace engineering at the Polytechnic of Turin. At the time of his death, he was living in digs in Turin, although he had previously lived with his grandfather in Ventimiglia, who had raised him since the death of his mother when he was a child. The day before his death, Alessio had travelled from Italy to Paris and checked into a hotel in the Port-Mail district. None of his family or friends were aware he was there. While in his hotel room, he called his grandfather and asked him about a medical appointment, but he did not tell him he was in Paris. He also sent a message to a family friend, saying his grandfather was the best parent he could have had. Tell him I will never come back this time. At around 2 AM, Alessio left his hotel room and his movements after that are unknown. He was found dead at 8 AM that morning by construction workers. His body was still warm and his estimated time of death was around 6 to 7:30 AM. When police searched Alessio's hotel room, they found he had drawn a code on a sheet of paper with the PC camera and left it on the screen as a background. It read ETP Jesses CAM 381 AS LCM. Nearby there was a letter written in French that read, "I will not tell you why I did what I did. It is written, but you may think that I am just too tired to continue. I won't be angry if you remember me as a crazy young man. I don't care what people think. I only ask for one thing, and I know that someone will do it. Show everyone this message." Later they found he had also burned the letters ETP backwards under a desk at his lodgings in Turin, and they found another code that read S119000018. Initially it was believed Alessio had made a snap decision to go to Paris, but further investigations found he had planned the trip, and the booking had been made online 10 days before his death, although he had not told anyone of his plans. Some reports state that Alessio won €300,000 at the casino, while others say he travelled to France, convinced he had won over 100,000 euros, and he was taking his win receipt to the casino of Monte Carlo in Paris to collect his winnings. But the receipt turned out to be a fake. Allegedly, Alessio's grandfather had also confirmed Alessio told him about the win, and some of his friends had noticed he was spending excessively in the weeks leading up to his death. However, we could find no confirmation about these reports, or where the money went if they are true. Toxicology reports revealed there was no alcohol or drugs in Alessio's blood, but there were traces of an anticoagulant medicine, even though Alessio did not suffer from any ailments that required the drug. Later reports claim that Alessio was enrolled in the Forum de Bruti. Translated, this means the Forum of Ugly, and its members considered themselves ugly and discuss ways of attracting women. Many believe this is untrue, as Alessio appeared to have plenty of friends, including girls. Despite all the twists and turns into the investigation, it seems police are no nearer to finding out the truth about Alessio's death, and aren't convinced it was a suicide. It does seem strange that he would travel to Paris, a place he had never been to before, to jump off a crane and kill himself. There has been some serious investigating going on Reddit, which we will link up below in the description. And if any of you can add anything to this case, or clarify some of the details, that would be great, as there is so much conflicting information, it's hard to know what the truth is. The unexplained call from a car. On March the 7th, 2015, police responded to a call from a fireman that a car was upside down in a river in Spanish Fort, Utah. As they approached the upturned vehicle, they could clearly hear a woman's voice coming from the car shouting for help. This gave them hope that the occupants were still alive. The following footage shows them struggling to turn the vehicle on its side and lift the partially submerged car out of the water. Inside they discover Lily Grossbeck dangling upside down next to the body of her dead mother. The infant was unconscious, but miraculously still alive. Following the rescue, Lily was rushed into Mountain View Hospital, where she was treated for hypothermia. Tragically, her mother, Jennifer, was pronounced dead at the scene. The previous night, 25-year-old Jennifer and her daughter were driving home to Springville at around 10:30 p.m. when their red sedan crashed into the frigid river below. Autopsy results confirmed that Jennifer was killed on impact 14 hours before the car was discovered. So how did emergency responders hear Jennifer's desperate pleas for help from inside the car when she was already dead?
Straight down! Straight down!
Eric, get over here, Beddoes. We're helping, we're coming. Eric, get down here and re-entry and flip it. Eric, get over here, Beddoes. We're helping, we're coming. Eric, get over here, Beddoes. We're helping, we're coming.
In interviews after the crash, at least 4 officers claimed they clearly heard a woman's voice calling, "Help me, help me." Tyler Beddoes, one of the officers involved in the rescue, is quoted as saying, "For 2 nights I've laid awake, trying to figure out exactly what it could be. All I know is that it was there. We all heard it. It was extra motivation." As for little Lily, it is a miracle how she managed to survive with no food or water in the freezing cold. But she did, and made a full recovery. Jennifer's family believe that the call the officers heard came from Lily's dead mother, who would have found some sort of way to stay with her baby until help arrived. In a side note to the story, after the autopsy, it was discovered that Jennifer was intoxicated with multiple drugs at the time of the crash. But this certainly doesn't explain how the officers heard the screaming. What do you think of this one? Unexplained Sound. Now this next one is a bizarre sound captured on a home security camera outside a house in New Mexico. We don't have a ton of information on it, but the audio speaks for itself. It was posted online in early 2019, and apart from it being a sound we haven't heard before, it's the reaction from the animals that we find odd. The poster explained that he had 2 dogs that barked at everything, and he couldn't understand why they hardly made a sound when there was clearly something outside the house. At around 2 a.m, the poster received a frantic call in work from his terrified wife, who asked him to check the security camera on his phone, as she could hear something outside. The camera was not the type that continually records. it only sent alerts when something set it off. Take a look at what he saw when he checked his phone. After Redditors viewed the footage, where the original video was posted, the comments ranged from unexplained to a possible wild animal. But what puzzled the man the most was the reaction of his 2 dogs, who he said would usually go crazy if they heard anything outside. It is likely the cat set off the motion sensor, but she wasn't the one making the noise, and she seems like she was looking at something under the bushes. The poster's wife joined the discussion and explained that the noise was louder than the camera had picked up, and she had been hearing strange noises all night, as if there was something outside banging on the walls of the house, and it seemed as if it moved from the side of the house to the front. When the couple checked the house the next morning, there was nothing out of place, and the only footprints were from their cat. They are convinced something sinister was lurking around, and the fact that neither their dogs or their neighbours' dogs seemed to sense it, or if they did, were too scared to react, makes it all the more terrifying. It's worth pointing out the house is located in a suburban area and is at least 100 miles from any forestry. There have never been any sightings of larger wild animals like bears or cougars in the area, and the most they get is stray dogs and cats. Also, the camera at the front of the house didn't capture a thing. What's your thoughts? These days, archaeologists, historians, and scientists have the ability to piece together significant events in history. And although they don't have all the answers, most of the timelines are believed to be pretty accurate. However, an unexpected discovery made in 2018 has made some people question the validity of some of these dates. In September 2018, an unnamed hiker discovered 2 old coins in Utah's Glen Canyon National Recreation Area. The hiker took them home and did some research, and found the coins were of Spanish origin, with one of them possibly dating back to around the 1200s. The hiker gave the coins to the National Park Service, and they did their own investigations to try and figure out how such old coins ended up in Utah. The coins, one about the size of a quarter and the other smaller than a dime, have now been studied by experts, and they believe the larger one is almost certainly a 16 Maravedía, minted in Madrid in around 1662 during the reign of Philip IV. The other coin is believed to date back from the mid to late 13th century, and it's this tiny coin that adds the mystery, as it predates Columbus setting sail for the New World by 200 years. If, as is widely believed, that Christopher Columbus discovered the New World in 1492, then how did a Spanish coin minted in the 1200s end up in Utah? It's also a mystery how such old Spanish coins have turned up in the area at all, as it wasn't visited by Spanish explorers until 1776. And even then it's believed Spanish exploratory trips at the time didn't go anywhere near to where the coin was found. The closest any Spaniard got was in 1540, when Francisco Vázquez de Corando got within 100 miles of Utah in his search for the mythical 7 cities of gold. Of course, there are more plausible explanations for how the coins got there, including that they were either brought to the area by early Spanish explorers or settlers and ended up in Utah after being traded. Another suggestion is that they were accidentally lost, perhaps by a coin collector, or the coins were dropped by a tourist. Other theories are that the coins may have been traded with a Native American tribe that then transported them to the area. What do you think of this one? The JFK Badge Man. Although we have previously covered all sorts of conspiracies and theories surrounding the assassination of JFK, the Badge Man is not one we have looked at. On that fateful day in 1963, Dallas resident Mary Mormon was standing directly across from the grassy knoll, about 15 feet away from the presidential car. As it passed, Mary took 5 photographs with a Polaroid camera, and she managed to capture images of all the occupants of the presidential limousine, as well as other crucial witnesses to the assassination. However, one of the most controversial photos she took was the 5th one, in which she captured the president's head as the shot entered his brain and killed him. The photo was calculated to have been taken less than 1/6 of a second after JFK was shot. Over the years, the photograph has been digitally enhanced and blood and brain fragments can clearly be seen exploding forward from the president's head, which appears to contradict the theory that the shot came from the front. Also in the photo is the so-called Badge Man, the name given to an unknown figure that is also reputedly visible in the shot. The Badge Man, many theorize, is a sniper responsible for firing shots at the president from the grassy knoll. And even though an alleged muzzle flash obscures much of the detail, the Badge Man has been described as wearing a police uniform with a shiny badge on his chest that has caused the bright spot in the image. Speculation about the Badge Man has spawned many conspiracy theories over the years, including a plot by members of the Dallas Police Department to kill President Kennedy and frame Lee Harvey Oswald. Other theories involve 2 other shooters as well as the Badge Man, who were allegedly in a league with the mafia and hired as contract killers under the guise of a police officer. Of course, none of these claims have been substantiated, and interestingly, the Warren Commission did not include Mary Moreland's photo in its report in 1964, although years later in 1976, the House Select Committee did send a high-quality negative version of the photograph to the Rochester Institute of Technology for analysis. They concluded that there was no evidence of human forms anywhere in the background, and the specific area in question was deemed to be so underexposed that it was impossible to glean any information from it. Others who disagree with the Badge Man conspiracy claim that the image is simply sunlight reflecting off a glass bottle and not a human figure. In a twist to the story, strangely enough, the Badge Man photo was never confiscated by the FBI, although a second photo Mary took that showed the 6th floor window of the Texas School Book Depository moments before the assassination was, although allegedly the FBI lost it and never published it. So like everything about the president's assassination, the Moorman photograph and the claims attached to it remain yet another unsolved mystery of the Kennedy saga. So that's 5 strange, unsolved mysteries. Let us know your thoughts and theories on these 5 in the comments below. And just for the record, we pretty much read every single one. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out our Patreon and watch our newest edition of Murderous Minds series.